This is Share the Vision, presented by the Resource Center, a discussion of the programs and services of the Resource Center and about issues related to individuals with disabilities. Today we preview the Resource Center's 13th annual campaign for Toys for Tots in Chautauqua County. With me, as always, Steve Watterson, Community Relations Director at the Resource Center, Terry Johnson, one of the coordinators for Toys for Tots for the Resource Center, will be joining us in just a few minutes. Steve, nice to be back with you on the radio for Toys for Tots, but at a completely different Toy Central location.
Absolutely. This year we are pleased and grateful to be located down at the Gateway train station on 2nd Street. Kind of gives the whole nice Toys for Tots feel to the Toys for Tots drive, since the Toys for Tots logo is a train. So it's just wonderful. From what I understand, the coordinators and the volunteers love the new location, so we're very grateful to Lee Harkness and everyone at the Gateway train station for making this possible.
Now, as we speak, it is Friday afternoon, just the day before broadcast, and in the immediate room adjacent where we left because there was a loud fan running, and I think it followed us into this room. But immediately adjacent to where we are, there's a group of volunteers taking sign-ups for Toys for Tots this year. We'll find out about that and even more from Terry Johnson, one of the coordinators of Toys for Tots for the Resource Center. Terry, welcome back to Share the Vision.
Thank you, and thanks for coming down to our toy location and our sign-ups to do the show.
Well, the brand new Toys for Tots location.
Yes, we are so excited to be down here. One of the things that Steve mentioned just before you guys started recording was that it was warm in here, which was a nice change for us. We've been working in a building for the last few years that didn't have much heat, so we are very happy with our new location this year.
Let's lay the groundwork for Toys for Tots, put on by the Resource Center, the campaign done by the Resource Center, and we should identify this as the Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots, which the Resource Center handles in Chautauqua County, the coordination of all of this. You are one of 3 coordinators again, still, Terry?
Yes, still. That was one thing that hasn't changed yet.
And the other 2 coordinators who could not be with us today because of other work obligations.
Yes, Heather Brown and Michael Volk.
So the 3 of you, the trio, is back working again to make Toys for Tots happen.
Yes, and this is going to be Mike Volk's final year as a Toys for Tots coordinator because he is retiring just after the toy season this year. So this is going to be the last year of the trio.
Wow, that's a bulletin. I was not aware of Mike's pending retirement. We'll have to get him on the air sometime, but he's unavailable today because of other commitments, as I said. So let's focus on this 13th year for Toys for Tots. Aside from being at a new Toy Central here at the former Erie Railroad Station, the Gateway Station in Jamestown, with a beautiful view, by the way, of the tracks and the River Walk and Panzarella Park and the BPU and the new building under construction right across the river. Really a nice scene here on this November afternoon. Are there other new aspects of Toys for Tots this year, Terry?
The location has really been our biggest change. We've tried to do things as similar as we can each year. The other thing is that we're up against this year is our time frames of the holiday season. Because of the way that the holidays fall, everything is pushed a week sooner. And typically we do our sign-ups the week after Thanksgiving, but that would have put us right into being the week before we have to bag and distribute the toys. So, and then next week is Thanksgiving, so we had to move it to a week before Thanksgiving this year. So we're a bit concerned by that because of worrying about getting too many late applicants and people that were not able to sign up by our toy deadline.
Well, and the sense of urgency in terms of getting the people who are listening to this program and in the community to contribute toys or money or whatever they're going to do for you this year, just because it's all happening so fast. Once Thanksgiving comes, boom, the next thing you know, it will be Christmas.
Absolutely, and we're going to really be in crunch time after, well, we're starting right now. Has started our crunch time, so we are really trying to get the word out there. We've gotten the barrel sites out to all of the locations in the community, and we just want to urge the community to try to fill those boxes, especially over the next couple of weeks, the holiday Thanksgiving weekend, where a lot of holiday shopping happens, Black Friday. There will be boxes out all over the community. So we want to urge people, if they're buying things, to pick up something and throw in one of the boxes.
Let's zoom out for a moment, Terry, and talk about 2 things for people who may be new to Toys for Tots or not heard this program, heard this discussion previously, because we have talked in other years. But how does Toys for Tots work?
Well, we get applications from either people coming in today and walking in and signing up, or local social service agencies that make referrals for families that they work with. And anybody that receives toys has to meet the federal poverty guidelines. And so people that are coming in today are bringing in identification for themselves and the children that they're signing up and proof of their household income. What we do with that information is we put all of the applications into a spreadsheet and kind of sort them out. And then in a couple weeks, we'll have a toy sorting. There's boxes out all over the community right now. All of those boxes will come back in. We have volunteers that we call Adopt a Barrel. So they take and we call them barrels, but they're really boxes now. 13 years ago when we started this, they were real barrels, but they were not so easy to transport. So they've been condensed down to boxes that can fold up in people's cars. So those boxes will be coming back in. And then there will be a toy sorting day that we're going to be looking for volunteers for, and then a toy bagging day that we'll be looking for volunteers for. So we have volunteers come in, they take one of those applications, and they'll see, a 2-year-old boy, a 4-year-old girl, and they'll take a garbage bag and walk around the big room and pick one large toy and one stocking stuffer toy for each child on the application. And then we check it out. We kind of have it set up like a well-oiled machine. People come in, it's almost like a checkout lane at a grocery store, and then they get checked off of the list, and it gets sorted up and ready for distribution.
And it's always interesting because you do not solicit for any particular kind of toy. You just want people to buy a new toy, leave it unwrapped, and put it in one of the barrels.
Absolutely. And we serve every age group from birth through age 17, so any toy will be helpful to us. The Marine Corps Reserves guidelines are that they're a new unwrapped toy, but other than that, we are not selective at all. Anybody will be happy with any toy that they get. And that is proven every year when we give people their packages of toys and how grateful that they are to receive their toys. It just proves that, what's inside the bins doesn't really matter. People are happy to have something to give their children on Christmas morning. And
the challenge for you, the other coordinators, the volunteers, is to have enough toys of a particular variety, age appropriate for boy, girl, to match a demand that at this point you're just beginning to assess, you don't really even know. So that's kind of the nervous part of this for you each year.
Yes, it is. We typically have the same need areas every year, even though we haven't been able to see where our high numbers are going to be. Always the teenagers, boys and girls, are very difficult because it's hard to find something in that $10 to $15, $20 range for that age group. So that is always an area that we struggle with, and we always struggle with babies. That is something else that 0 to 1 usually, because a lot of the toys say 18 months or up. So even though I may give my child something that the guidelines might say, ages 9 months up and he's 6 months old, we cannot give that to a baby if the guideline's not in that right age range. So those little babies under a year old are tough. And the last few years, that boy age, like 4 to 8 or 6 to 8, I guess it should be, the boys' trucks and cars and things like that, we have ran short on those types of things too. So there's obviously a lot of boys in the county that we seem to have been running short the last few years.
Now, a couple of other things that I want to just, while we're zoomed out here, have you talk about. One is the Marine Corps Reserves, their contribution to this, how it works under their umbrella with the Resource Center.
Mm-hmm. We have to report out to the Marine Corps Reserves Toys for Tots Foundation weekly. So, and all of the money that comes in, all of the checks are made out to Toys for Tots. We make bank deposits, and we have our own debit card to use. So we purchase all of the toys locally of the money that is raised, and we have to report out to the Marine Corps Toys for Tots Foundation. And they contribute financially to us. When you came in there, you saw all of the toys that are already here. There's a lot of boxes that were shipped to us from the Toys for Tots Foundation. We just received those this week. And they also help us with those age groups that we struggle with, because we report to them each year what age groups we struggle with, and they will supplement in those areas as well. So they do provide us toys. We also have some national sponsors that help out, Toys R Us being one of them, and each year they donate money, and we go to Toys R Us and spend money in their store. So a couple weeks ago, Mike and Heather and I went to Toys R Us in Buffalo. That's our own store. Each Toys for Tots organization has their own Toys R Us store. So all of the toys they collect there comes back here, and then we go there and we purchase toys with the money they've donated. And so we were able to go there a couple weeks ago and bring put a good dent in our toy collections.
So Toys for Tots is handled nationally by the Marine Corps Reserve Foundation, in Chautauqua County by the Resource Center. Suffice to say.
Yes, that's a good way to sum it up.
Okay. Now, considering this tight timetable that you've been talking about this year, when would you like people to have all of their toys donated? When do you really need them in here, Terry?
Well, we're going to be collecting them as far as possible, but we're going to be trying to bring them all back in on Friday, December 13th, because on Saturday, December 14th, we will be starting the toy sorting process. And then on that Sunday, we start bagging and distributing. So really, we're going to be looking for all of the barrels and boxes to come back in on Friday, December 13th.
That is really a very short timetable when you think about the people will not really be getting into the holiday shopping mood or full mode until Black Friday, which is this coming Friday. And that's, very late in November this year, 29th. So you really have about 2 weeks.
Yeah, our toy season has really crunched on us this year. Not only are we doing all of our toy collection and distribution early, our charity event that we raise all of our money for the toy season, we did a month late. So everything kind of scrunched into a short time frame for us this year, and we're not sure yet if we liked it or don't like it yet, because it really has put us under the wire in every category that we do through the toy season.
I might have you talk more about that Kickoff event in just a few minutes, because I understand some of the actors or actresses who are in that are also volunteering this afternoon out at the sign-up tables, and we've postponed them until at least midway into this show so that we can lay out the full information for the community about Toys for Tots. So stay tuned for information on that. You have mentioned a couple of times cash contributions. That sounds like those two are an important part of making this work every year.
Absolutely. When people make donations to us, as I mentioned, we deposit it into the Toys for Tots account that we have set up, and we go and buy the toys of the areas that we may be lacking. So when I mentioned before that we run out in certain age categories, we have money in an account so we can go purchase those toys so that we don't have to turn anybody away and that all of the orders will be filled. So we really rely pretty heavily on monetary donations so that we can purchase toys to fill the gaps of things that might not come in on the boxes.
So if people want to give money, you will accept the checks made out to the Toys for Tots?
Absolutely.
And how can they get them to you?
They can drop them off at the Resource Center at 200 Dunham Avenue. They could drop them off to the Kappa building on 880 East 2nd Street or the Mazzani building at 92 Fairmount Avenue.
And otherwise, the toys can be distributed at barrels, and you made it sound like they really are all over the place.
Yeah, we have about 80 barrel sites in the Chautauqua County right now between Jamestown and Dunkirk.
That sounds like a new high to me.
It goes up every year. I just got a call the other day from the Red Roof Inn, and they called asking for a barrel. So, it used to be that we would call people to solicit them to take a barrel site, and as time has gone on, people are calling us asking for the barrels to be at their locations.
Terry, I would like you to take a moment, if there are any local sponsors or groups that are putting special events on this year that you know of at this point for Toys for Tots and you want to recognize them on the radio.
There's a couple of things. Cummins Engine always does a really nice toy drive for us each year, and really without any work from us, they called us up, they do the toy drive, and then we just select a pickup time, and their staff really come together. I end up with a whole vehicle load that I bring back each year. The Lakewood Rod and Gun Women's Auxiliary always at their holiday party does a really nice toy collection site. Kiwanis this year, as they did last year, will be donating some Christmas trees to families that are in need. So what they do is they come down and bag the toys for the families that will be receiving a real live Christmas tree, and they will bag them up and deliver them to the person's home, the toys with a decorated Christmas tree for them. So that's something they did for us last year, and they're going to do that again this year. So we'll supply them with a list of names of people that would be in need of a Christmas tree, and then they don't have to come and pick up the toys. So it's a nice benefit for some of the people that will be getting toys this year. Early
on in the program, you mentioned a need for volunteers, a couple of different occasions. if there's still barrels that have not been adopted and people to come and sort and help with the distribution. What are the key dates? How can people get in on that part of it, Terry?
The toy sorting is going to be Saturday, December 14th, starting at 10 a.m., and it goes until whenever we're done. It depends on how many volunteers are here and how long it takes, but usually a few hours anyway. And then on Saturday, December 15th, is when we start our toy distribution and bagging. So that starts at 8 a.m., and again, that's all here at the train station at 211 West 2nd Street. And people can come at 8 a.m., and we bag until we're done. Usually we get done around noon or 1 o'clock, and oftentimes we have about 100 volunteers here doing it. And we're bagging up toys for over 2,000 children. And then we start distribution that same day at 1 o'clock. People will start arriving to pick up their toys. And then we'll be looking for volunteers on Monday the 16th at 8 o'clock for distribution, just helping get the toys out the door. People will be coming starting from 8 to 4 that day, picking up their toys.
So that's a key 3-day period, 14th, 15th, 16th of December. Do you have enough volunteers now? Can you use more people?
We absolutely can use more people on that Saturday and Sunday for sorting and bagging toys, because I don't know that we can ever have enough. It's one of those processes. It takes a lot of people to make it happen.
How can people volunteer? Do they just come down, or would you like to hear from them in advance?
For those two things, they can just come that day. They don't need to sign up or anything. We just take them in as walk-ins that day to help.
We have noted previously that we are in the beautiful, fully refurbished Gateway Station on 2nd Street in Jamestown. I should say that we are on the west side. You have the west wing of the building this year, so people know specifically where Toy Central is.
Yes, we are in the furthest side of the streets, and we're right behind the Jamestown Savings Bank Ice Arena. I've been talking to a lot of people on the phone about our location, because it is a change for us this year, and I've tried to note it in as many places as I can so people find us. But those few landmines, people, by the line of people that were here when I got here today, I think they found us just fine.
The Resource Center is one of the sponsors of the parade again this year in downtown Jamestown, and I know that you put an extra push on for Toys for Tots at that event, which is coming as we speak, less than a week now.
Yes, and we're actually ramping up our Toys for Tots float again this year. Bruce Main, who is a long-standing Toys for Tots volunteer, is helping us build our float. He has recreated a Toys for Tots train, and when I talked to him yesterday, he told me that I would be in awe, but he's pretty secretive of some of his plans. So we're trying to match his designs up, and we've got a whole team of volunteers working with him on the float this year, trying to go with the theme of the I think, what is it, the Snowball Express, I believe. So
that's right. So, very much relating the train station into all of it.
Right, and again, as Steve mentioned, the Toys for Tots logo is a train, so it's all very fitting this year.
Terry, just to put this in perspective for the listener, the reason why the Resource Center has such an extraordinary commitment to Toys for Tots here in Chautauqua County.
You know, I get asked this all the time as we wind into the holiday season, how I got started doing this and why the Resource Center does this. And really, it's our way of giving back to the community. The community does so much for the Resource Center and the individuals that we serve on a day-to-day basis, in many, many venues and capacities throughout the county. And this is really our way of giving back to the community for all that it does for us. So it's kind of our way of saying thank you. You know, we do this in addition to our regular jobs at the Resource Center, so it's just our way of giving back and doing something for the community, because they really do so much for us.
You've carried the yeoman's share of this program today because the other two coordinators were unavailable, but thank you for your interest in being on the air here today for Toys for Tots. Terry, your title at the Resource Center, your regular work the rest of the year?
I am the Program Administrator for New Vision Services.
That's much different from Toys for Tots.
It is very different from Toys for Tots. This is kind of a good break sometimes from the everyday.
You have children of your own, though.
I do. I have 2 little boys.
And their ages are?
5 and 7 months.
Boy, now, you must, right in that age range where Christmas is going to have a lot of meaning around your home this year.
It sure does. I was thinking, looking back as we were toy shopping last week, and last year at this time I was pregnant, thinking, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm doing this. And so this year it's a reality. We've got 2 little boys in the house, so it's really, we're already making all of our Christmas plans in the house and trying to figure out how to maneuver the system. And we get involved, my entire family gets involved, as with Heather's and Mike's family. Part I know one of the things that Heather and I both do at Thanksgiving, we both host big Thanksgiving family dinners, and instead of having them bring food, we have them bring a toy for Toys for Tots. And it's just like our family. My son knows, even though he's only 5, he knows that Mommy collects toys for kids at Christmas time, and he comes down here when we're sorting toys and distributing toys. And although he likes to look around and tell me what he would like for Christmas, he understands and is getting the spirit already of what it means to give to those that may not be as fortunate as him.
Terry, let's put your number out there as a contact if people want to do more, know more, help in some way for Toys for Tots this year.
I can be reached at 661-1044.
Terry, thank you for your time. Always a joy to talk to you about Toys for Tots and to get back into the spirit of the Toys for Tots season.
Thank you, and thank you so much for all your support with Toys for Tots.
Oh, well, I love to do this, and I understand now we're going to meet some of the volunteers who are out front and helping you with your registration process today. It didn't take long to get a couple of volunteers to come to the microphone and talk about Toys for Tots. I have 2 young women here who are Toys for Tots volunteers involved in a number of ways, and I must confess, to be completely open at the beginning here, that I know them both well, but because we come from the same neighborhood of Jamestown. But I'll have you introduce yourself first.
Elise Peterson.
Elise, nice to see you here at the train station. What is your work at the Resource Center?
I'm a Medicaid Service Coordinator.
And what are you doing today for Toys for Tots?
I'm volunteering taking applications for individuals that want toys.
What has it been like to be here today and talk to the people?
Well, it was really exciting when we came because everybody was waiting at the door, so it was like the big hurrah, so that was fun, and it's just nice to help people out and to see different people that need our assistance.
Now, Terry said that we should really get you on the radio because you were a performer in the Toys for Tots Kickoff event, and Terry and I purposely didn't say much about that, but it's already happened. It was a little earlier in November.
Yep.
And what's the show like? What happens at the Kickoff event?
It's a variety show. There was lots of different acts, and we danced and, hang on.
Try to get people ready for the Christmas, get people in the Christmas spirit.
It's not your turn. We danced.
They're sisters, folks. We'll get to that in just a moment. Go ahead.
We were dancing, and I actually have a broken foot, and I took my boot off and did a cartwheel. So I'm that dedicated to Toys for Tots.
Well, I'm sorry about your foot. I hope you're going to be all right.
I will be.
She'll be fine.
Your sister's helping even now.
She is, yeah. She can't let me take any,
You are enjoying the spirit of Toys for Tots, though. You've been close to this. You've been involved in it the previous years.
Yep, every year. Usually I adopt barrel sites. This year I didn't get any, but I'm planning on doing the applications and helping sort the toys and being here for the pickup as well.
Is there anything else you want to say about Toys for Tots or the holiday season before I let your sister talk here?
It's just a really great cause, and I really feel honored to be a part of it, and I feel like it gives back to the community and helps a lot of people out. So I really am honored to be a part of it.
Thank you very much. And now you're welcome. I'll have you introduce yourself to our audience.
Great job, Elise. I always try to steal the spotlight from her. I'm Samantha Cashmore. I'm a vocational rehabilitation counselor for the Resource Center, and I've been doing Toys for Tots for a few years now, since I began working for the agency, and I really enjoy, just like Elise said, giving back to the community and working and supporting everyone.
And Sam, you've been taking applications from people today.
Yep, absolutely. They come in, and if they don't have an application already filled out, they just come in and they can fill one out here, and then we get everything ready, and Terry Johnson organizes it, puts it in the computer, and we get everything together for the toys.
The sense of the people who come and talk to you, they must be happy, relieved that Toys for Tots exists, that they'll be able to get some toys for their children for the holidays.
Of course, especially with everything in our economy now, it's pretty tough for some people, and with job layoffs, they come and they're relieved that they have the support here locally, that they can make sure that they have gifts for their children at Christmas time.
I will have you and maybe your sister too, I'll go back to her in just a moment, because there's a great deal of spirit among the Resource Center's employees, is there not, to help support Toys for Tots throughout the agency? Don't you find that as you meet people who work for TRC?
Absolutely. Everyone likes to get involved in helping out, and Toys for Tots has always been a part of our agency and something we look forward to all year round, getting together and working as a team to bring smiles to kids' faces.
Elise, you find the same?
Yeah, everybody just works together. It's really nice because, we're all working towards the same cause, and everybody's just really happy to help out everybody, and it really brings us together at the holiday season.
Thank you very much, both of you. Merry Christmas to you. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And as I confessed earlier, I've known Sam and Elise for a long time, so it's particularly nice to share a little time with you on the radio. Terry, there's one thing we did not address in the earlier part of our interview, but how many young people have you served traditionally in Toys for Tots? How many families? Let's get the numbers out there.
Well, we started 13 years ago with 9 families, and last year we served over 1,000 families and 2,500 kids. So each year it has gone up, even if it's just gone up by a little, 20 or 60 applicants or children. But last year we were just under 2,500, so we're expecting to be at least that much this year.
So that's a great demand, really.
It's a really great demand, especially when you consider each child is getting 2 toys, a large toy and a small toy.
2,500 times 2, that's not hard to do.
Right. So, yeah, there's definitely a huge need in the community for these services, and as you see the toys that have already come in, there's definitely not 5,000 toys in there. So we definitely have a long way to go in the next couple of weeks.
Well, and for those listeners who may have tuned in the middle of this program today, we are at the new Toy Central, which is at the Gateway Station, the former Erie Railroad Station here in Jamestown. You on the west side, just behind the Jamestown Savings Bank Arena for Toy Central this year. So this is where the volunteers will come. This is where Santa Claus will take all the toys from later in December.
Yes, and we're very happy here. The address is 211 West 2nd Street, and it is just a great location for us, and we can't be any happier to be here this year.
I just saw Bruce Main stick his head around the corner here.
He did, and unfortunately when he saw you, he ran the other direction. Although he's not shy, he is when it comes to any recognition for anything that he does, or he doesn't like to talk about anything that he does.
Well, Bruce Main, we did find for a moment. Bruce, what is your work at the Resource Center most of the time?
Most of the time I audit the files, make sure they're up to state regulations.
We hear that you're really doing something special for the Toys for Tots float in the parade, but we haven't been able to, or at least Terry said she hadn't been able to elicit much detail from you yet.
Well, no, I'm just trying to recreate a piece we had before that got damaged and not able to use again anymore. It was the actual Toys for Tots train.
So you're making it new for the parade?
Yes.
You enjoy being a part of this every year?
I love doing this.
Well, now, something in your voice there deserves to be pursued a little more, because you said you love this with a real sweetness. What is it that you love, Bruce?
Just being able to see all the people who come in and are so thrilled to get stuff that they normally wouldn't be able to have for their children on Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
Terry Johnson, thank you for all that you do for Toys for Tots.
Thank you.
Seconds later yesterday, I reconnected with Steve Watterson, who spoke at the opening of today's show. Thrilled to be back at Toys for Tots in the new location here and to kick this off for the year. And Terry has made the point several times during the course of the program how urgent it is that people do this quickly because of the very short time between Thanksgiving and Christmas this year.
Right, yeah, fewer than 4 weeks. So they'll be wrapping things up very quickly. I know the barrels are out at different locations. They're hopefully being stuffed full of toys by our local residents, because really, we've talked before, this toy drive would not be successful without the generosity of Chautauqua County residents. So we appreciate all the support. Just a reminder that if we haven't talked about it already, because I stepped out of the room, we've got the holiday parade coming up. The Resource Center and Lutheran are sponsoring the parade this year, and we always have a Toys for Tots float, so anybody who wants to come and put toys on the float during the parade, we're happy to accept them. And we'd also encourage people, if they want to come and walk along with the Resource Center and the Toys for Tots float, we'd love to have you. By virtue of being a sponsor of the parade, we tend to be up near the front, so if it's a freezing, bitterly cold night, you'll be able to walk the parade and then get to warmth while everybody else is still out on the parade route.
Well, Steve Watterson, to you, Terry Johnson, and all the other volunteers down here at the train station today, thank you for sharing the Toys for Tots vision today.
Very nice. Thanks, Dennis.